Hello Internet and welcome to Season 2 of Ship of the Week, a series where I have just 1 hour to design a ship based on your viewer suggestions and hopefully make it work. Ships that do pass my completely unbiased inspection will go up on the workshop for everyone to download and enjoy, but the ships that don't make the cut, well, they get scuttled. We have a lot of great new ideas this season and a lot of new game mechanics to test out. So let's hop right on in to Ship of the Week. So this week we are taking a suggestion from longtime viewer of the channel Dagonius, who wanted to see a ship that eats and leaves its waste was the idea. And yeah, I thought about this and okay, what exactly could I do that sort of makes sense with that? And I came up with the idea of designing a ship that basically it's, I guess, a salvage ship, but it's designed to take out an enemy, eat that enemy, produce more drones that it then uses to take out the next enemy. So it sort of would be like a little drone carrying, eating thing. I'm sort of building an animal, I guess. So yeah, I guess we'll build an animal. All right. Timer on the screen, and here we go in 3, 2, 1, we're off. Okay, so this is going to be a bit of a complex build just because there are two main parts to it. I need to devise a, eating mothership thing, and I'm going to need to build a drone. So, let's see. Definitely need a battery. I think I have an idea, a rough idea of how we're going to do this. It's going to involve some hinges. Probably need conveyors, cargo, and I guess refinery and assembler be important at some point. I don't know. We'll need more, of course. But I think to start out, we'll go ahead and maybe just place a battery, because they're handy. Because we're going to need some sort of grinding apparatus. And I think what I'm going to do with that, we'll have a conveyor. Do I need... Yeah, I think I need... That doesn't actually need to be a conveyor. We can use these. I will have a... I'll have my lights on so it's easier to see. Have a T-piece going like that. This one does need to be a conveyor. That's fun. But I can have these cornery bits for the other two. And actually, I'm going to make this bigger. So that's 7 blocks wide. I'm going to put maybe 7 by 7, so we'll do, that'd be 42. No, it wouldn't, but that's what we've done. So, got this big upper panel. Then what I should be able to do here is have a tube there, and then a... Do I need... Yeah, I need one more tube. This is getting technical. So 2 tubes and a hinge. Now on the hinge, if I go ahead and... that's the wrong button to hold. We'll go ahead and send it that way. I'm going to go ahead and... Yeah, maybe set the upper limit to 5. That'll come important later. But what I now do, if I copy that, paste it there, cut off this, nope, that's not cutting off. Cut off that bit. I can copy this over, hopefully paste it onto, I'm gonna have to rotate this. but that's easy enough. So I stick that on there, and now, I'm gonna real quick, just so this doesn't do anything crazy, convert to station, just because it doesn't have thrust or anything yet. But, reverse that hinge. You can see I basically have a giant jaw. So this is the basis of my, I guess, eating part of the ship, is it's going to have this big old jaw mechanism that'll clamp down on ships. And something I had the idea to do and did a little bit of testing beforehand just to make sure this was viable. So if I reverse this, and I set all these things grinding, which is a lot, I'll go ahead and make a group. Mega grinders go. Now, as it is right now, if I put this battery just smack in the middle, and reverse our hinge, you can see it starts, but it blows up the battery. That explosion there was not ideal. You can also see they aren't grinding each other. That's a handy thing. I wasn't sure this would work, because grinders on subgrids can grind. There's weirdness of what gets ground and what doesn't. That's why I've got this little 1 block gap. But the grinders facing grinders at this sort of distance don't actually grind each other. So we've got that. The crushing blocks thing isn't helpful, but hinges have this torque setting. And I found if I scroll all the way down, and then I think 500 might be good. Basically, this hinge is now super weak, which means it's going to struggle to move this big old thing, and it's going to bounce a little bit. There it goes. But what it also means is if I put this other battery up. Okay. Close quick, jaw, before your food gets away. I may not catch the battery. Nope. Okay. Take 2. If I reverse this hinge, you can see it closes up, catches the battery. The battery didn't last long enough, but it didn't get crushed immediately. Basically, the hinge is so weak that it doesn't have the power to crush the blocks between the 2 rows of grinders, meaning it holds them. So, with this set up, I'm going to go ahead and turn our grinder machines off. We can go ahead. I think what I'm going to do real quick, before any of the smart stuff I should do, is I'm just going to detail this a little bit. Because it bothers me that it's just kind of here. So give it a little bit of something. And hopefully this will help inform how we design the rest of the ship. It's not much, but I think it'll make a decent lower jaw. So now let's go ahead and get some more important technically things. Maybe we start with, some cargo. So obviously we're going to need cargo containers for all the stuff we eat. So those are going to be needed. Then, actually, what am I doing with refineries? I don't need refineries on this thing. What I think I'll do is have assemblers on board. Maybe down each side? Yeah. These are essentially, so whatever I may eat as the ship, I don't know if that's what I need. So having assemblers on board means that in theory this ship can reprocess whatever it gathers and turn it into... Basically, I could store everything as raw materials and then just produce with the assemblers whatever I need. I'll use these speed modules to make them zippy. And then, just so I don't forget, and because this is something I've been called out on in the past, I'm gonna stick some oxygen-related stuff so that once I, build, I guess, crew quarters on this thing, the crew can actually survive long-term. Next, I think down here is probably a good spot for some gyroscopes. And I'm going to want a bit, because once this thing is sort of free-floating, all of this movement and this massive jaw is going to cause a good bit of wiggle. So, I have a good... maybe not good, but it'll be handy. Some areas here I can just wrap around for reactors. Because I think, in theory, as you grind a cargo container or a reactor or whatever, you get its inventory. So in theory, this ship could go eat something with a reactor, get uranium, and power itself. And then I guess next I should think about the drone printer. And maybe for that, let's go ahead and build the drone. Now, I was thinking of having these drones be fully automated, but I think what maybe makes more sense is to have them be piloted from the ship, because this thing with its massive, mechanical jaw isn't going to be particularly well suited for real combat. So I think how it would work is it stays out, has its drones defeat whatever defenses a ship has before it comes in and chomps. So, we'll go ahead and partially just to be thematic and partially because even with this jaw it could be handy to be able to cut up our enemies. I think we'll start our drone with a grinder as sort of its main core fronty bit. And if I stick one of these in there, I could then... yeah, I think I'll have a connector there on what is either the top or the bottom. That'll be decided later. Then 2 batteries for plenty of power. And go ahead and put that there, and I may use that camera just because I can. Go ahead and have an antenna there. Then have our merge block for the printing. Stick a gyroscope there. And I don't know, we'll have this spot open for something else important. And then because this is a combat machine, do I give it different types of guns? I may just stick with Gatlings. Good old-fashioned bullet hoses. Because they'll put out a lot of firepower, be able to take out turrets quickly, and it kind of, I don't know. I think it fits, sawing things in half with bullets and then finishing it off with a buzzsaw. So last thing, I think I'll use these warfare thrusters because I find the sort of encased look of them to look the most like a real, finished thing. We'll just stick a few of these all around. Give it plenty of directions of thrust. Oh. Okay, maybe if we do that, we stick our gyro there. Yeah, that's something. It'll do the job at the very least. And I don't think this camera's... whoops. Well, that got rid of the camera. I didn't put that back. Actually, I may just go ahead and move that. Maybe under here, or back here. Maybe under here. It's always the challenge with these things, is making something quick and easy, but still, that looks good. So I've just realized something as I'm armoring things up. So with how this thing is going to print, this gyroscope isn't in a great spot. So because the merge block is here facing up, that means the first layer that'll print is this one, which is really just going to be that and the slope first. Then the layer below it has the thrusters, it'll have the merge block attached to it, all that, and then it kind of goes down from there. But because this gyroscope is positioned sitting on this battery, it can't be placed until the battery is placed. Which means, as this thing is being printed, more than likely, I'll have to see how I design it, I guess, but this battery won't be printed until the welders are down here. So once the welders are at the bottom of the thing, this block will be able to be placed, and there's a good chance that that gyroscope won't be in range of the welder. So what I'm gonna do, and this isn't particularly ideal anyway, just because it's not a very strong position, but I'm gonna flip that gyroscope so that it's attached to the top. That way it gets printed with this second layer, because this first layer will be there, so it has an attachment point so it can be made. So then I can cover it up, and actually I think what I'm going to do, just for style, we'll face it like that, and yeah, that's not really much style, is it? We'll do this, which means I have to replace that. Yeah, that's something. Which means stick that on here where it'll kind of defeat the depth provided by these grady bits, but it looks decent still. Yeah, I think, aside from an ever important camera, I think that's the drone built. I will go ahead real quick and do some basic setup. So we'll have the thrusters off. Gyroscope should be fine. That should all be okay. Set this up to use the camera. And then just real quick, we'll have those. Have our camera set to view. We'll have the ability to switch that on off. Toggle the merge block on off. Toggle our thrusters on off. And just because it's on there, we'll have our grinder. Yeah, plenty of power, plenty of speed. Little drifty, but that's fine. No ammo, but that's fine. And we can't quite see it spinning, but we do have our grinder. That should be good. Now, turn those off. It's important to have your thrusters off on a printed thing, because otherwise, as it prints, it'll freak out because the inertial dampeners think it's moving. One last thing. We'll name it Grinder Drone and have the antenna show that. So, quick blueprint. That's ready to rock. Now, the next important step is we need to figure out how we're going to print them. I think we're going to have that happen back here, actually. So we'll go ahead and
energy critical.
Run out of energy, apparently. But we can get a few of these down. And 6 welders should be enough to print this. If it's kind of lying backwardsy. So this drone is going to be, it's not going to be the most automated print system. But what I'm thinking here is a relatively simple piston arm there. We do another hinge like so. That hinge... Nope, other way. That hinge will go like that. And I guess we will go ahead and set it up with all the things so that it just stays in position like that. Except we don't want that. Oh, and we do want power. So, small head. It's pointed the correct direction. We do a little weld. Now, it's all about positioning this arm so that we can actually build. And I think if we come down from here, come down basically to the middle, then we could just go with this. So for projectors, it's easy. Just remember, you can sort of look in the little, I guess, image on the right where it says projector. That tells you the rough orientation, but this 4-cross bit is the top of a projector. This 2-cross bit is the front, like where it's pointing out. It's not super critical, but it helps a bit with orientation to know which way. And based on the orientation that, I don't know. I just put them all, you know, that's up and forward, which makes sense in my head. That's all that matters. So, we have that. Then we have our merge block, and actually... no, that merge block's pretty much dead center of the drone. This block, obviously it sticks out a lot further this way, but this block is all one block, so that's basically the end. So that should be fine. And that should be enough distance that it can place the first block while that's fully closed and then start printing as I pull out. So I'll go ahead and, this is unnecessary, but I don't know, I like making it look like these things are a little bit more structural. We'll have some bits. And then we set up our projector. I'm going to name this projector for what it's doing, and I may or may not name everything in this system. But this is handy if A, you have multiple ship printers on a grid, or B, just to keep track of what each thing is doing. So you know, okay, I need to get in and find a piston, find this piston that controls the drone printer. How do I do that? Well, if I just type in grinding drone, it'll pull it up, and I know what it is. So we'll go ahead and add our grinding drone to the projector. It's good at this point to hit keep projection. That way, if I test it and build it, it doesn't delete and make me have to reload the projection again. Now, this is probably one of the most handy things of Build Vision. I can control the position of this by just control right clicking on our projector. So I can just kind of do some poking and prodding and see what makes the changes I need. That doesn't seem right. Then maybe it is. Okay. Yeah, so that's up. That's like that. I don't need any horizontal. I do need the whole thing to go... I guess that's pitch. Nope. Okay, this is all getting weird, but... I think that's the right position. Yeah, and then just... there. Alright, that is a drone lined up. Looks like everything's within the welding sort of range. Yeah, I guess we'll just test it. So go in here, save those as the welders. We'll go ahead and turn those on. Go to our piston, rename it, and I think I probably want it moving at, okay, maybe not 0.01. Let's try 0.1. Yeah, so we can see the gyroscope is built in there, which is good. Just placing all the blocks. Yeah. Now, I suppose this is because my character's in in creative mode. Because I did just realize this doesn't actually have any parts on it, so in theory, it shouldn't have been able to weld all this, but it did. So, that's neat. Oh. Except, of course, for that. Ow.
Your health is low.
Ah, I almost repeated last episode. Now, that's interesting. Why didn't that get welded? Let's see if I can poke it and make it weld. Because that conveyor should have gone. Now, again, it's possible that, in theory, this shouldn't have done any of this, so maybe it just didn't have an interior plate, and therefore it didn't do it. Actually, I bet you that's what it is. If I real quick go in here and I've missed I. If I spawn one interior plate into the container, yep, there it goes. So long as it has the parts to place the block, it just welds it all up because of character survival mode. That's neat. We can also do this to set this piston to a good distance, because I obviously don't need the piston to go the whole way out. Though I do need enough room that I can, launch the drone. Though actually... so I have that conversion hinge, and I didn't intend to use it, but maybe I do. So if we have the piston arm, have its max distance be... 2.5 may do it. Yeah, that would be enough that everything should be printed. Then I set the upper limit of this to 0. Turn off the hinge lock. That stuff should be fine. Yeah. Can pop that out. I'm gonna go ahead and share inertia tensor on that. That should help with some of that wiggle. Maybe. It doesn't look happy. I think that's because the gyroscope on here is trying to stop the wiggle, but because it's a hard thing, it just sort of freaks out. Yeah. So I print out a drone, drop it off, and then reverse in. Now I could automate this process to a degree too, actually. So if I have these 2 timer blocks, and I think I'm actually going to need more timer blocks. So go ahead and put one here too. We have our drone printer timer blocks. We'll have this first one go ahead and reverse our piston. So it'll be closed in at this point. So this will send the piston out. It'll turn on the welders. It will turn on the projector. I need to I need to name this merge block And I've broken my naming convention, but that's fine, because I realized naming this merge block drone, or grinding drone merge block, was weird, given that the merge block on the grinding drone wasn't that. But should all be good in the end. So we have this, starts our piston going, turns on our welders, turns on our that. We'll have it turn on the merge block. And that should be it, except for we also need it to start timer 2. So timer 2 will be set up. It's what happens once the drone is printed and it reaches the end. It will reverse the hinge, sending the drone, up and into release position. And I guess it could also, it can turn off those and it can turn off that. Then it has to start number 3. And number 3, all it has to do is toggle that off. Yeah, I'll have a separate button for resetting. Because at that point, once the sequence is done, all this will be off, the drone will be released, then whoever the drone operator is would remote in, take control, fly it down to the drone dock, which for the moment will just be there. I may make more. So then the drone is attached to the ship, ready to do whatever. And I can print off another drone if it gets destroyed. Alright. Just to test this, I'm going to go ahead and reset all this. Then set up. So let's do maybe 30 seconds on that. Maybe we'll do 45. And then this one probably just needs 10 because this hinge should go fairly quick. It's okay. I think it's actually, this is the first timer. So let's go ahead, trigger now, and see if this works. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now, so it's at position. And that still got 15 seconds. So 30 seconds would have been perfect, actually. We'll wait till this finishes and adjust it. There goes the hinge. All the stuff's off, and here in a few seconds, there goes the merge block. So this is now a separate set. Yep, it is moving after I bumped it. Separate grid. Alright. Now, really quick, I'm gonna go ahead and just slap a second timer in there for the reset. And this reset basically just reverses these. Well, so that's good. I need to make the rest of this into a ship real quick. So let's go ahead. I think it's just going to be ion powered. Its ions are good and reliable. We can just kind of weld. We can just kind of slap those there. Stick these along in here. And in fact, that works pretty perfectly. I'm gonna stick more batteries just so we have them. And then I think up here is going to be where the living area is. This doesn't make a particularly conducive floor, so we'll cover this. Just some blocks. Go ahead and kind of continue our gum line. Just because this is a combat ship, I think we're gonna slap a big angry turret on it. So this thing could, in theory, fire on enemies from afar while its drones do its work. Okay. I don't think I'm gonna have enough time to be particularly cute with this. Yeah. It's go time now. Let's do those. We'll do some of these. I need these blocks to do what I'm thinking. Okay, we have 4 minutes to do this interior. Got some airlocky type doors. They're dumb airlocks, but you know, whatever. I think we'll go ahead and stick a vent in here. Use one of these. Slap one of those covers on it so it looks like a floor. For these, I can do... yeah. I'll have 2 little windows. Those will be our twin cockpits. They don't really line up, but, you know, nah. We'll have that there. You can sort of see.
Critical.
You can use these inset cryo rooms, so you have 2 little cryopods built in. Some angles there, so they'll look nice. We'll have... yeah, some of these console-y bits just to, again, fill in the room. Change that up. And a little bit of light. It's a little Spartan, but it'll get the job done. Now it sort of looks like, yeah, you could control things from here.
Critical.
Now, oh, I need to, got a minute and 57 seconds. Need to set up all the controls, and we still don't have reverse thrust. That's important. As would be... some shaping there, just to tie it together. Yeah. Looks like a face. Okay. Now, real quick. That's the drone printer hinge. Where's my other hinge? There you are. Gonna be down and dirty, but We have our grinders and our mouth. Okay. I mean, not perfect. Can I do any last bit of detailing? Maybe? Okay. Well, that's that. Uh, it's not the most beautiful thing I've ever built. It has some character. I was hoping to do a little more to this backy bit, but yeah. Oh, and I did. So I did just realize something. In my panic to get this operating, I did forget an antenna. Which means, while this thing can print drones, it can't actually control them from any of the seats. We'll go ahead and test it, and we'll see how how it works with all the other bits, because there's also a good chance that, this whole thing is a silly mistake. But, yeah, there's a point against it, and yeah, if we have too many points against it, this thing isn't gonna fly. So, alright, I guess we'll proceed with testing and see how that goes. Alright, well here I am in this silly skull machine. I do almost... Yeah, because these are half blocks at the front, I can't really recess the thrusters anymore. But I do almost wish I could, because then it would look more like a nose than this weird extra line. But, yeah, all in all, this odd machine seems viable. So I figured the first good test would just be to see if it can eat a ship. So I have a ship floating over there, and I'm going to try and eat it. Figure this is better than a full-on combat test right off the bat, because I'll be honest, I'm not the best at combat, and because that's something I added into the challenge, if it doesn't do great, I may just chalk it up to me not being good, and that may not be a critical failure at that point. First thing I need to do, this is, I don't count as any issue, convert it back to ship. Hopefully I have enough mass that the moving of the lower jaw won't cause too many issues. Oh. That's fun though. I can chomp my lower jaw because it has very low power. Ah. Oh, that looks hilarious, actually. Alright. Well, let's see. Ooh. Okay. We may not have enough power. Oh, you know why we don't, though? And I won't count this as an issue either. By the way, I like this little door thing. I was like, this is a half block. I have this. That could look cool. I think it's real fun having, like, cargo access secured behind this heavy blast door. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and Shift F10 spawn some uranium in, probably not 10,000. There we go. That'll go into the reactors and hopefully give us a little more juice. Because in theory, if you were starting off with this thing, you'd already have fuel for it. I spawned ice in earlier for the oxygen, which is working, by the way. So, still not great, but, it'll fly. We have all the degrees of motion, we can angle. So, not perfect, but it'll work as I excitedly open my jaw. Let's go ahead and tell it to open. There we go. So, I'm thinking something I should have had to keep the jaw from swinging around so much was maybe a control to lock it. Because, yeah, the momentum is basically closing it, even though the hinge is opening it. Okay. Well, uh, yeah, you can sort of see him spinning there. Our teeth are on. Let's mosey on up and see if we can't chomp. Oh. Okay, take one is a failure. I was so busy looking at it from this angle, I didn't realize I wasn't lined up on the thing. I don't think that's a fault of the ship so much as a pilot error. Okay, round two. Yeah, we're chewing. We're chewing. I mean, it's definitely doing a good job. At this stage, it's not that difficult because the signal chaser is going to be holding position. But the real tell would be if I chomp on the back. I think we're going to eat the whole thing because it looks like that's a viable option. So in we go again. Another bite. You can see the benefit of that relatively weak power. It's not crushing anything, but we are kind of holding in, pushing any of these blocks into the teeth so that they actually get ground down. Though admittedly, we seem to be stuck a little. That shouldn't be an issue. So we can just open wide again, reposition. There is something really fun about this, just here I am chomping on a spaceship. And also kind of terrifying with that, when you're kind of looking at it from this angle with the jaw super unhinged. And that's kind of what I was going for, was almost like an evil anglerfish. I should be checking too, just to see if there's any damage. I mean, it's somewhat reasonable that a little bit of, the armor gets scuffed up. I should hopefully not be doing enough that it would cause any real issue. Let's try... Oh god. Let's try remembering how to fly. I'm gonna go around and take a chomp from the butt. See if, probably shouldn't have said that way. We're gonna try this other side and see what happens if we really take out its thrust potential. Now we do the handiness of the, I think it's build info mod. You can see the sort of bar moving with the little grinder symbol next to it near the bottom of the screen. Shows how much cargo I have. Well, it shows how much cargo's in the grinders, which means so long as those are empty, I know I'm not overfilling my cargo and causing potential, well, deleting parts essentially. So those 3 cargo containers were more than enough to eat a fairly good sized ship. I figured, I'm pretty sure that a ship the size of the Signal Chaser can easily fit within 1 cargo container, so yeah, that works. Alright. Things are now floating. I may try a little... Ooh. May have been a mistake. I was going to try and fly manual to allow me to better track with the this ship, but flying manual is a little harder to do than I was anticipating. Come here. And fortunately, for the fun of this design, it doesn't quite have the grip power I was hoping it would. I'm gonna get back a bit and inertial dampen to this thing. There we go. So now we may create a feedback loop, but we should be able to stick with it, flying relative to the ship. That's a pretty good chomp. Yeah, honestly, I'd say in terms of being able to eat your enemies, this thing seems to be working pretty good. And it's fairly straightforward. You know, it's not taking a bunch of particularly complex stuff. I'm just kind of, you know, line up ship with grinder mouth and close mouth. And it's not going to get everything, but I kind of assumed that from the get-go. That is, the grinders just in general are messy, so as long as you can kind of get the big chunk and get a lot of it, I count that as pretty successful. Alright. I think that's enough chomping. Oh, now interestingly, let's head out here. The bar was showing that one of the grinders was damaged. So let's see, was it... Be kind of hard to tell, actually. Oh yeah, there was a little bit of grinder damage happening. That's not unreasonable for kind of bouncing into ships, and honestly, you'd expect... That grinder almost seemed ground down. I wonder if at some point this stuff... There is some damage here. I wonder if at some point the grinder's sort of... The hinge bounced closer than it should be able to. Though, who knows, it could have just been a weird graphical glitch. By and large, this seems to work just fine. So now I guess we do the other part of this process, which is, after we have eaten our spaceship dinner, can we defecate out a new baby drone? So, I didn't put this on my hotbar either, which is silly of me. But, if I just go ahead, hit trigger now. Oh, dang it. The grinder isn't going to be placed because I put the thruster there and didn't account for that. Let's see if the rest of it goes. I mean, that's silly mistake, but that's what happens when you're rushing at the end trying to get stuff built. Okay. So, that's not how that works. So obviously I can't control my grinding drone from in the ship, but I can turn the thrusters on. I can control it from here. Bring it down to its dock. Lock on like so. Apparently freak out. And then if I go trigger the reset, Our little printy arm comes back in. And off I can go again to chomp on more ships. Okay. Well. Arr. That's pretty fun. I love that. So final verdicts. I mean, I'm in a tough position here. I would call this a pretty solid mixed success.
Huh?
I don't have a graphic for that either. Yeah. So yeah, this, it did what it was supposed to do, all ostensibly, but there are just a few little things that I just lacked the time to polish it, really. I spent too much time with the basic design of everything, and probably a bit too much time kind of looking around and pondering what I should do. And it's meant that while this thing works and, does eat ships and poop drones, it doesn't do it like I wanted. So, I don't know. I think what I'm going to do in this hazy middle ground is I think this still gets published. I think I'll still call it a success, that the ship does work, but I think it's still going to explode. So yeah, I mean, definitely a fun, interesting idea. I don't know if it's all that practical, but I guess the sort of hinge holding method is a pretty good way of, holding on to things while you're grinding them. I don't know if it's any better than just having a wall of grinders, but looks cooler. Yeah, despite this blowing up, I think it'll still be up on the workshop for everybody. If anyone who wants to check it out, play with it. Obviously, you can build your own, refine the design, and improve it. Other than that, thank you everybody so much for watching. Feel free to leave any ideas for ships you'd like to see built in the comments of the videos. That way I, know them and can do them, and can shout out whoever came up with the idea. And until next time, bye-bye.